Hey everyone, we've got a great session lined up for you today. I'm Brian Lowe's, the CEO and founder at Kinemagic. We're the makers of the immersive software platform Stratus. It allows you to meet and collaborate with your peers around the globe on your massive facilities. With us, we have our partners at Shell. Now, they've been on their immersive integration journey for quite a while now, and I think they're going to have some great insight to share with you. And today, joining us from around the globe, we have Michael Hansen. He's the engineering manager at Shell's Rhineland facility. We also have Johannes Weinem. Johannes is a technical safety engineer at the Rhineland site. We also have Lucas Papendorf. Lucas is the digital twin implementation lead. And then we have Michael Kaldenbach. Michael is the XR lead for Shell's global efforts. And then joining us also from Kinemagic, we have Jonathan Morin, product owner on our team, doing great work with our product. And so what we wanted to do is share with you our customers' thoughts on what they're seeing with these technologies and where it's going as our world is really moving at such a breakneck pace. So I've got some live Q&A and they're going to provide answers here, and I hope you really enjoy the content that comes out of this. So COVID has changed the way we think about working, especially as we look to more remote and hybrid arrangements. What is the demand for new digital solutions looking like since the pandemic?
Hey Brian, hi to everyone here on the call. First of all, honored to be here, and it's been a hell of a ride over the last 18 months. So when I look back on how this all started back in early 2020 when the pandemic hit us, so from one day to the next, we immediately had to change our whole ways of working, going from fully being on site to only minimum number of staff remaining. And that has taught us quite a number of things. First of all, I think we learned how to collaborate more effectively using modern technologies, but also there was a deep need to very quickly reduce the operating cost. In that sense, kind of the new technologies and the hybrid working is kind of, I think, what we learned how to do and what we will continue to do in the future. For me, if you ask me personally, I think the hybrid ways of working will be the new norm, and virtual reality is kind of the top of that, which will kind of bring back some of the feeling you lose if you're not on a facility like ours, if you're working with your colleagues. So it can be a really nice connection between the old world and the new world.
Yeah, that's great. Certainly seems like these conditions have put a lot of pressure on the market. So turning to new technologies seems like an inevitable kind of evolution here. Well, how have y'all seen the technology filter into your new ways of conducting business?
Yeah, and they filter through in many ways. So, I mean, it starts with standard video conferences like we're doing now. I mean, that's been our way of working for the last 18 months.
Right.
But also kind of in maintenance execution, in project development. There are various use cases, and I've got a couple of great colleagues here around the table who can definitely share some more insights on that.
Awesome. Oh, I think we're going to dive into that in a minute. Well, large companies like yourselves over at Shell are really trending toward geographically distributed teams. You've got international projects and stakeholders around the globe. Well, how do you see technology like this VR capabilities helping to fit and accelerate this trend?
Maybe I can give some insights in here. So we at Rhineland, for example, we are one of Shell's energy and chemicals parks, and there are several similar sites across the world. So let me maybe give an example, right? We piloting some new way of working, or some working approach, which we call follow the sun. So what we did, for example, we executed an MLC process with process engineers, process and control engineers, also instrumentation engineers from 3 sites, which are all located in different time zones. So that means, for example, a team in Asia starts working, handing over to the next time zone to Europe. They continue working and then handing over to the next team, which is located in America. So that's working and collaborating by following the sun. So that enables us really finishing something much more speedy than we did it before when just executed at one side. So we work kind of with speed over efficiency, and this immersive VR experience really helps us to better understand what have the other themes have thought about, or even, for example, annotations which you make in the VR model could help understanding design changes much better than other teams considered. And that helps to collaborate, and it is much more appropriate and reasonable than just using a video call, because it's much more intuitive working together inside a real facility, although not being there. And that really enables us maybe in the future to have asset support available from everywhere, and also from any time, because you're not really related to daylight or things like that.
Yeah, I remember that was always a challenge with distributed teams, is how do you get everybody on the same page when you're all over the place?
Yeah.
It's good to hear that kind of opens that up. Go ahead, Lucas.
Yeah, and also we've all been looking at a screen for the last 1.5 years, right? Teams call is the new norm, and now this is the next step basically in collaborating with each other. So I see this as a very good fit for us to just not look at a screen, but really work in a model, work together in a different way, and still be around the globe.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and actually being back at the site after 1.5 years just being in the home office, right? Also, it's just a great experience. Although it's just virtually.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, so you're using this in your workflow, you're connecting people together, and I know that kind of opens things up, but to be a little more objective with folks, where do you see this technology bringing Shell the most value? What's some low-hanging fruit here?
Yeah, I think it's best if I pick up that question. If we look at virtual reality within Shell, it's not a single technology. Even within virtual reality, we classify, for instance, 360 as well. We classify point clouds, and virtual reality in that sense is almost an umbrella terminology. So when we look across Shell, across our lines of business, where do we use virtual reality? The low-hanging fruit, which we started years ago, 3-4 years ago, is around sort of the learning, simulating what you cannot or do not want to simulate in real life. And that's extremely powerful. Some of the folks listening into this call might not fully appreciate what virtual reality is, but the definition that we hold is, if you put on this headset, which allows you to go into this immersive environment, and the computer is not turned on, you don't see anything. Everything is black. You have no peripheral vision. When the device is turned on, the computer is turned on, everything you do see is rendered by a computer. And that ultimately allows us to control what is the user, what is the participant seeing, what are they experiencing. And for the energy industry, it allows us to train people around very expensive pieces of equipment. It allows us to prepare them for situations that I certainly don't want to expose them to in real life. So from the learning angle, that's definitely low-hanging fruit. But there are so many more use cases and opportunity. And looking at the digital twin, which is a natural evolution that our market is going through, where we want to do our work digitally, virtually first, so that when we do it in the physical reality, that we do it right the first time, we do it faster, more efficient, and safer. And we have a number of use cases. One of them is for when the asset is still being constructed, and we need to design that. And that allows us to walk, or actually, since it's virtual reality, I personally prefer to fly through my asset. It allows us to come up with scenarios. Okay, is this column going to be here, or is it going to impede my flow? But even if the asset is already operational, virtual reality allows us to optimize. It allows us to do site familiarization. So yes, there are low-hanging fruits, but I can guarantee you, even today, with virtual reality being relatively mature, we are only scratching the surface of the use cases. Now that the hardware is becoming more and more available, and platforms like Stratus are becoming more usable and more mature, we will emerge from that pool of opportunities with the various use cases as we start using that. So exciting stuff.
Yeah.
And maybe also I can add some side perspective. So we're transforming our own whole business we're transforming into an energy and chemicals park. We have very old plants that run for 40 years now, and they need to transform into processing new feedstock. We want to invest in hydrogen applications, so a huge lineup of projects. And as Michael also said, this really helps us in making projects more efficient. We can do design reviews in VR, and we can do operator training without putting people in harm's way. We can integrate laser scans from plants that we already have with the new CAD model. So this really is where our return on investment sits, making projects more efficient and thriving in the energy transition of the site.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So the idea of being able to practice things without exposing yourself to risk and sort of see the future of what a site is going to look like so you can find those flaws beforehand. Pretty amazing that y'all are starting to harvest that value. Well, Lucas, you're talking about ROI. How do you quantify your ROI for your facility?
Yeah, so we started the first projects now in Stratus, and what we think is going very well is making design reviews shorter. So we're quicker when we deliver projects. We don't need so many people here on site, so we can have an engineering partner who sits in Chennai in India or in the US. They can do design reviews with us. They don't need to fly over here. So this is really where it sits. We make projects more efficient, quicker, and also cost competitive.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
And if I might add to that, so and basically what Lucas just said, from the perspective of this energy and chemicals park that is being transformed, it's really important to really be kind of on the market quickly. I mean, it's a very fast-moving market now. Hydrogen business is picking up these new technologies. We've got more and more strict CO2 regulations. So basically, if we are able to deliver those things faster, more quickly, we can be more quickly on the market and actually can create higher return on investment and grow our portfolio. So that's really where we're coming from.
Wow.
So I would have to say that there is a strong correlation between being prepared, having the competency, and in the end, safety and preventing incidents. So the reason why I say that is that the return on investment does not boil down to a monetary figure, because safety in general is more difficult to quantify in that sense. So when we talk about the return on investment, we always talk about the immediate benefits of faster processes, faster design reviews, having to have less people involved, less people travel, but always in a non-quantifiable way. Safety is part of virtual reality, and in this case as well, although yeah, we generally don't put a price to that, but we do certainly value it. Goal Zero is at the forefront of what Shell does, and this tool does enable that as well.
Yeah, excellent point, Michael.
Yeah. The airline industry has been behind that mode of operations for a while, right? Get your reps in, get your practice. It seems like this is opening up that ability for you as well. That's awesome. Well, this next question for me is really kind of fun. Because we built a platform, we thought it would be used in certain ways, and at times unpredictable outcomes occur. We saw someone ingest a submarine the other day in a water park into our program and started to use it in ways we had never potentially imagined. And honestly, those moments can be some of the best, and they really open up new potential in ways in which we think about building our software. But for you, where have you seen some of those aha moments in the way it was used, something that you had perhaps not even thought about?
So I think we really use that for our plans, which we really knew from the outside, right? If we go on site, we can see our plans. Actually, my first experience with Stratus was with a unit I never saw in real life before. I first visited it in Stratus, and it was obviously a great experience because also my daily business, I had to do some hazard analysis in this unit shortly before, right? But due to COVID, I had no possibility really going on site and looking at this unit, but with Stratus, I had this possibility. And really an aha moment was, right, first I entered Stratus just alone, learning how to use the controls, which, by the way, was really intuitive for myself. But first time being in Stratus, I guess it was together with Jonathan and together with Lucas was there as well, and I guess Michael Hansen was there as well. We were with several people within this unit I just told about, and yeah, it was very easy to collaborate, communicate via the headsets. That was some kind of aha moment for me, really. Hey, it's not possible just going alone into this platform, but yeah, really easy to collaborate in it. That was really an aha moment for myself.
Yeah, yeah. That was our original premise, was immerse yourself in your model. Well, wait, what if you collaborate with other people in the model as though you're there, and you start to close the gap between you guys over in Rhineland and Amsterdam and us in the US right now? That is a big aha moment. And I feel as though you have to try it to understand what that's like. Just listening to people talk about it is almost hard to fully grasp that. It's a great comment.
Just to jump on what Johannes just said, the aha moment that was there for me is virtual reality also translates to scalability. So we have a large organization, and a large portion of our organization has never been on site, but they are the ones who are designing capabilities, providing advice around topics that occur on site. And with the Stratus platform, we're able to bring people along that normally would not, because of geographic constraints, be able to go to the site, or who would be less inclined. But you can bring everyone in on a journey. Also, again, I want to reiterate that, in a very safe way. And that really was an aha moment, where I was bringing IT folks to Vito, an offshore model that we host on the platform. And yeah, for them, it was an eye-opener in terms of not just sort of how the scale of things, but also when you bring in alternative capabilities like a point cloud, to be honest, sometimes how dirty an asset can be. In the virtual reality model, they might look very clean, and but if you have a point cloud, you see the rust everywhere, and that basic recognition of, hey, this is a unique opportunity. Like Johannes said, he didn't have that opportunity before. Everyone in the world can come to Germany in this fashion, and I think that's an amazing capability. Certainly an aha moment for me.
Wow. Okay.
Another maybe once we're on those aha moments. So I mean, a lot has been said about the how intuitive that model is, and I also really love the collaborative aspect when I first kind of immersed myself into the model. I think another aha moment, which I also found very nice, we took some very senior leaders as well, and to the same experience, like vice presidents, executive vice presidents. And also for them, you could immediately feel, by immersing themselves, they kind of were thinking already, so how can this be applied? And afterwards, we had very good and very thorough conversations about how can we actually apply this to kind of scale it up, as Michael Kaldenbach already said. So that was the aha moment, that this immersive experience really triggers another level of in the thought process.
Yeah, that's a great one. We're in the emerging technologies category, but I like to tell people that this is now on its journey of scaling technologies, and that's really exciting to see. And Michael Kaldenbach, it's so true, right? The rust is there, and sometimes your BIM models don't do that justice. So great point. Well, I think another great question for you, and many industries are kind of restrained by a lot of experience with older technologies or existing ways of conducting business. And we often get challenged with this technology with the question, okay, I have a Navisworks model. I can view my facility. Why do you think Stratus is better? And we always answer that question, but I think it's better for you to be able to.
Maybe I can give a very concrete example here. So I started my career for Shell as an operator. So I walked the plants, I could touch the steel, I knew my way around. And now I come to a project and I need to do a design review on how can I operate the plant in the end, and I need to do it on a computer screen, right? I can just look at the model, I can scroll through, but if I'm in there in my right height, I can see, can I get this valve? Can I open this valve? Do I need a ladder? Is this the right height? Can I pull the heat exchanger out for cleaning? So being in a VR environment really gives this I'm in a plant feeling, and also helps then in a project to design a plant in that way that it is operable and maintainable later on. So this is really where the value comes from.
Maybe I can add. Yeah, so yeah, great. I think that's exactly what I feel as well, right? When I'm in the model, I can touch things. Can I touch something, or would I need scaffolding outside the plant or things like that, which is much more difficult to experience in Navisworks, for example. And also another thing, and I know some folks that feel similar. For myself, it's very difficult just using the viewer function in Navisworks and working through something, right? As I said earlier, for me it was very intuitive just working with the Stratus platform through the plant. So that's some experience or something I could add on this or answer to this question. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great feedback on that one. It's no great mystery that it's part of the standard flow at some point in your project or your procedure establishment. Okay, now it's time to go out in the field and validate, or it's time to do that field walk. And it's exciting to see that this opens up that opportunity without perhaps going to the field or using that less. That's awesome.
And if you build something, for example, a new plant, and you go out in the field and you see, okay, this is not working, then you need to rebuild it, right? And if you do it in VR before, then yeah, you save a lot of time.
Awesome. Well, you've got a lot of experience to share. Been down this road for a little while. You're learning a lot. You're integrating this into your workflows. You're seeing value. What would you say to companies that are now looking into their journey into immersive tech? What advice would you give?
Yeah, perhaps I'll start, but definitely probably also good to hear from the people at the front line. But in generically speaking around immersive technology, my core recommendation is think big but start small. I know that's an easy thing to say, but I recommend that the technology is ready, in the sense that the hardware is there, the software platforms are there, and you might have an ambition of fully autonomous operations and artificial intelligence, and that's great. Definitely keep that in mind, but I always recommend baby steps into the future. So when we talk about sort of your digital twin world, it doesn't matter whether you do from Navisworks, when you have a computer-aided design model and you convert that. You could have, oh, let me start even smaller and say, okay, we're going to take 360 photos of my site and then push them together. Every step you take is going to learn you something, and you don't necessarily need to go all out at the same time. It's usually better to learn with the technology, and again, start small, do a proof of concept before you commit fully. Because as you do your proof of concept, you're going to learn from yourself about your company. What information do we have readily available? What information would we need to create? And that honestly is a rather painful lesson to learn, and you want to do that in the small scale and then scale up. I'm not saying you cannot go full steam ahead. Luckily, the technology is mature enough, but most often cases you want to taste first before you try. So that honestly is my golden tip there. It sounds a little bit straightforward because that's a generic advice, but more so for this technology. But maybe look at Johannes.
Yeah. So exactly. So my advice would be just try it with VR experience. This is not something you can learn of a YouTube video or experience. You just have to try it, be in a model, look around. And for me, this was the eye-opening moment. And I would just recommend just try it, and then you see for yourself.
I think that's going to be a slogan. Just try it.
Just try it, yeah.
And also from site perspective, I can definitely agree with what Michael Kaldenbach just said, start with small steps, right? I earlier touched on this MOC process, which we executed as kind of an MVP, because you really need to, learn people how to collaborate on those platforms. And you can go small steps. And their feedback was just from the folks who joined this MVP said, hey, that was a mind-blowing experience for me, right? So as Lucas said, they need to experience it, as Michael Kaldenbach said, but start with small steps and you will be able to scale it up finally.
And get user feedback. So this was also the collaboration we had with you guys. We could give feedback, we show that to people here, they get feedback, how can we use this? So this was a very, very big part of our journey with Stratus.
Yeah, and from our side, building the software, that's awesome to hear, because that feedback, ultimately our goal is to make this stuff quite usable for you. It's got to provide value and be usable and in a sense sticky for your organization. So we would advise our customers, we need to hear critical feedback. Is probably the lifeline of our business and our ability to support that. Hearing we have a great product, we'd love to hear that. That's awesome. But hearing about the warts in the software is worth so much, because we can eliminate those things. And I think looking around the room here, we probably have discrete examples of very critical feedback that we've had to address, some faster than others. And judging by the smiles, that's absolutely true.
Yep.
So thank you. Yeah, that's great feedback. Well, you're here now. We'll take our crystal ball out here and start looking a little bit further down the road. We're now 5 years from today. What workflows, use cases do you anticipate using and getting the most, and such that you can get the most value out of immersive tech? What can't we do today that you want to do in the future?
Yeah, so hey Brian, so basically I've got the press release already written for 2025, and not joking actually, because that's an exercise we're doing at the moment. We're at the Energy and Chemicals Park. We're really kind of, and I mean, it's nothing we invented. This comes from the big tech companies of this world. We're working backwards where we want to be in 5 years' time. Yeah, and so in 5 years' time, so what the teams have come up with as ideas are that this global collaboration that we touched upon, which we're currently doing kind of as MVPs in small steps, that will be kind of the norm. So basically, you can operate energy assets via different teams all over the world, that those folks can actually meet in VR, can get a connection they would not normally get from a 2D screen. And by that, enabling really a support of those chemical assets and energy parks. This is really critical for our success in the future. So that's one. And we've got a slogan in there. Basically, if we make hybrid working effective, we can allow also for a better work-life balance in the end. So our idea is to have hybrid working and flexibility for each and every one of our employees. And the slogan of that press release is better work, better lives, and better outcomes. So that's how we themed it, and VR plays an important role in that. So I hope that gives you a little bit of that flavor of what we are trying to achieve in 5 years. And feel free to if you're interested, let's go into a dialogue.
Yeah, wow, better work-life balance. That's certainly a great opportunity for all of us. And some would say perhaps COVID may have unlocked a thought pattern around that. Maybe we can reevaluate the ways in which we work. Wow, if you really draw that out into the future, I guess that is the big goal here.
Yeah, but in the end, so we are totally convinced. So if we can make that shift from kind of the old world, the classical oil refinery to an energy and chemicals park, and take our employees with us and enabling them flexible working and modern technology, in the end, the company will profit as well. Yeah, so it will be really good for the employees as well as for the company. But it's a big journey, and what I'm really happy about is that we've got a great team here around the table who actually help us to make that work. Yeah, so Another thing that I really learned is over the last couple of years, and which also shows here, you need to have the right folks who try it and who make it happen. And we are actively in Shell really kind of building the digital skills such that it comes like a grassroots movement. It's nothing you can do top down. It really has to develop. You can have some vision from the top, but you need to have the folks who embrace it, who take it further, and actually who challenge us as the leaders to give them the right tools and opportunities to make it happen.
With that kind of cultural initiative, y'all are going to be drawing the next generation of the workforce to Shell. That's a really thought-leading concept there. That's pretty awesome. Well, great. Well, I think that about wraps up our questions for today. I hope everybody who's watching this video really enjoys it. It was certainly a privilege on our end to have this team at Shell join us today. Some pretty amazing insights here. I think all of these individuals are quite active on social media, so if you want to reach out to them and ask questions, you might get lucky and they'll share a little bit of their experience with you. And as always, if you have any questions for us, please reach out. Thank you. Until next time.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.